Hey everybody, Richie here with Homeschool Humor and the hostess of the Homeschool Mom Summer Summit. I had to put my glasses on so I see my ring light is having a glare. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to talk to you today about homeschool, of course, but about year-round homeschooling. So we are year-round homeschoolers, and we decided to be year-round homeschoolers about 3 years ago. And it was during this time when I needed to, I wanted to add in more fun stuff. Let's see, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. Just before, I'm Richie with Homeschool and Humor and also the hostess of the Homeschool Mom Summer Summit. I'm trying to do something with this ring light so it doesn't glare on my glasses. But I guess we're just going to have to deal with it. And I'm talking to you today about year-round homeschooling. So it wasn't until about 3 years ago when we decided to be year-round homeschoolers. And the reason why is because we wanted to include all the fun stuff in our day. And we were packing our schedule like really, it was jam-packed like every single day. We would do something, and then after that, we'd have to hurry up and then do something else. We weren't even able to do all the fun stuff. And so I looked into it a little bit, and then I learned about year-round homeschoolers. And at first, when you first hear about it, you think that that's homeschooling 365 days, like for the whole year. But that couldn't be furthest from the truth, how it really is. So year-round homeschooling is when you pretty much can homeschool anytime during the year. You don't have to take off the summertime for traditional homeschoolers, which they start normally July or August, and then they homeschool throughout the year, and then they end about May, kind of like public school system schedule calendar, and then they take off the summer break. Well, for year-round homeschoolers, you don't have to do that. So if you are a year-round homeschooler, or if you're interested in year-round homeschooling, go ahead and leave me a note in the chat and let me know if that's something that you're interested in, or if you're a year-round homeschooler already. So, where was I? So year-round homeschoolers, they don't have to. They really don't take off summer break. Basically, your days are shorter. Your lessons your lessons can be longer or shorter. Your days are shorter. You can implement different schedules with your year-round homeschooling schedule. You can homeschool from January to December if you wanted to, and take off like the whole month of December to prep for the following year. Or you can have a start date like July, but then end that year in June. You can start in October, which is when we start. Our new fiscal year is in October. And then we end our fiscal year in September. So that's how we homeschool. Only because we started homeschooling from the very first year. We didn't really even get started homeschooling until that October. And we just kept it. So we've maintained it from October to September year round and traditionally. So year-round homeschooling is pretty much where you homeschool anytime throughout the year, okay? And it's not a traditional setting. So when I first began homeschooling, I was trying to mirror the only thing that I knew, and that was the public school model of a Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. school day. But little did I know that schedule was going to suck the life right out of me. Yes. It was also the first year homeschooling was the first year we were traveling, and it was also when I was pregnant. So it was a lot of mama feels that first year. Um, but homeschooling and public school are not the same thing. So it took me about a year to figure this out, that it's not the same thing. But when I did figure it out, I just felt like a big relief off just a big old heavy load off my shoulders. I just felt relieved because I realized that I actually can do a lot more with my homeschool. I can customize it, I can be more flexible, and it doesn't have to look or mirror the public school system. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or stretched to the limit during your homeschool days, then maybe you should consider modifying your homeschool schedule. One reason why homeschooling is so appealing to everybody is because of the flexibility. Homeschooling gives you the freedom to choose your curriculum, your setting, and even your time. So don't let your homeschool schedule wear you out. The best advice is modify your homeschool into a year-round homeschool schedule. Now, like I said, when you hear the words year-round, your mind goes to a 24/7 schoolaholic scene. So I know at first that's how it was for me. I thought it meant that I would never have a break, but that's not the case. In fact, it's quite the contrary. What is it? I'm on my live. Okay. There are several different types or versions of year-round homeschool schedules, and one or more of these might just be the perfect solution for you and your family. And it could be your savings grace. So don't worry. We're going to cover what year-round homeschooling is. So why you need a homeschool schedule. So having a homeschool schedule brings structure to your days. It gives your mind a rest from worrying about what to do next. It keeps you from having to scramble for last minute preparations for a hands-on activity because you already know what's coming up on your schedule. And when you have a homeschool schedule you're intentional about with your homeschool, aiding you in meeting educational goals, it's going to be a lot easier for you to just meet those goals. So things don't accidentally happen or not happen whenever you have a homeschool schedule. You take charge of your homeschool, and which then means you take charge of your life when you schedule your homeschool days. And when you do this, you'll soon see that a simple homeschool schedule brings peaceful energy into your home. Not only does it give you structure to your homeschool, but it also helps you integrate homeschooling with life. So homeschooling is a lifestyle. It's not just something that starts and ends each day. Okay, it's more of a lifestyle setting. So it helps you integrate homeschooling with life when you structure your homeschool. It's a well-known fact that kids do much better with routine. So by homeschooling with a schedule, no, your homeschool time isn't like set office hours. It's more like a way of life. And if you're worried about your state laws, just keep in mind that some states require a set number of school days, but not a single state requires you to school on a specific day. Okay? And that's where year-round homeschooling comes in. So for some families, a simple homeschool schedule isn't in their vocabulary. So, and that's great if that's the perfect solution for you. But then we're talking about families who do homeschool and they feel a little bit overwhelmed and overworked and they need a solution and they kind of feel scattered. This is who I'm talking to. People that, the moms that kind of need a solution for their schedule and they feel a little overwhelmed. So year-round homeschooling might just be what you're looking for, okay? So the benefits of year-round homeschooling is you actually get more time off. I know it sounds crazy because it's year-round homeschooling, but that's the truth. Sure, your homeschool schedule, it goes all year long, such as, like I said, from July to June, or like we start in October, so it can go from October to September fiscally. But it's because you go all year long that you're able to take many breaks throughout the year and in between. So, which is probably what is lacking in a regular public school conformed schedule. Okay, and I'll explain why here in just a minute. So when you homeschool year round, there's no information loss. That's another benefit. So you know how long those summer breaks can be, like we're in it right now. So when a child takes 3 months or more off of school and then returns, he's not going to remember the things that he learned because that's more opportunity for information loss. Not that he's not going to remember, but he's likely to not remember. Okay. It's more of an opportunity for information loss. You'll need to re-review it all over again, all the things that you learned the previous year. And that normally takes at least a good month or two of your regular 9 month schedule to go over what you already learned. Okay. So going year round eliminates information loss and it helps retain the information as an ongoing process. It's like building learning blocks that don't tumble down. These blocks of knowledge just keep on building and building as it should be. And this creates a strong foundation by teaching your children how to learn rather than memorizing answers just to get by. That makes sense. Okay. Uh, it keeps them remembering and refreshing the information in their mind instead of re-reviewing it just to memorize the facts because of the long break. Okay. Another benefit of creating a year-round schedule is the ease of the workload. So like I said when I first started this live about how I was jam-packing my days and I didn't have any time for the fun stuff and our days were really long and I didn't understand how anybody can homeschool and keep it like this for a long period of time. Something needed to change. And that's when I discovered year-round homeschooling. So a year-round homeschool schedule it eases the workload of your homeschool. And because you're homeschooling year after year, you're able to homeschool in less time in the day. Your lessons can be shorter and you can even alternate subjects every other day, like in a loop schedule. The end results turn out to be about the same when you do that alternating and then loop schedule, which actually leads me to my next point. You already have flexibility in your homeschool, whether you take advantage of it or not. But by homeschooling year round, your flexibility grows infinitely more. You can make that schedule of your dreams by just homeschooling only 4 days a week if you wanted to, and having 1 or 2 breaks sprinkled in between throughout the school year. You have more time for the fun stuff like field trips and learning workshops. And I'm going to go over the different year-round schedules that you can take advantage of here in a second. I have 7 of them for you. The final benefit I just want to point out is when you homeschool year-round, you have the power to focus more on a subject. So if your children really like a subject, or if there are more elements to a lesson that you guys want to explore, like the rabbit trails, then you can do this instead of having to add on more days. You can actually focus more on a subject. You have the freedom to deep dive into unit studies or into any subject that you like if you wanted to, and it won't hurt your schedule, like not even one bit when you year-round homeschool. No, I'm not done yet. Because your days will be shorter, you will have the time to do fun studies and fun stuff. Okay. So in the chat, if you're watching, what are the other benefits of homeschooling year round that your family could experience? Because each family is different. So what benefits do you think that your family would have if you year round homeschool? Okay. So leave that in the chat. So year-round homeschool, any family can do a year-round homeschool schedule and it be just smooth sailing. However, there are some families who have unorthodox lifestyles. Like we used to travel a lot, so we needed more flexibility. Year-round homeschooling was the answer for us. We used to travel like 70% of the year, and we would go from destination to destination. And just because of that traveling, um, we needed flexibility. It can be the same for military families when they travel too. Year-round homeschooling just might be the answer for that. Moms who need a lot of breaks, or even kids who need a lot of breaks, would greatly benefit from year-round homeschooling. Even if I didn't travel, which I don't anymore so much now, But if I had never traveled, I would still do year-round homeschooling. I like shorter school days, and I love my mommy moments. So I would definitely take advantage of um, year-round homeschooling because it allows you to have more breaks for the kids or even yourself. Okay. Especially when you start getting really stressed out and just overwhelmed and you feel like you have a lot to do and you're falling behind. Um, Year-round homeschooling can really help you alleviate all that stress and all the workload that you're feeling. Um, Families who also do a lot of hands-on activities or projects or long unit studies, they would also benefit from year-round homeschooling. There's more time, like I said, there's more time in the day to do these fun projects. You can explore all types of topics. Just think about how much your children will learn if you just deep dive into a topic that they're already interested in, and you won't have to worry about if you're going to be behind in other subjects. Okay, so if your children are in a lot of extracurricular activities, or if you want them to be in them but you haven't had the time, then a year-round homeschool schedule is ideal for you. You need your practice time plus your game time or your lesson time, and then of course your mommy moments, right? um, you're able to fit sports in, music lessons, gymnastics, all the extra stuff that you want to do. It's a great way for your homeschool kiddos to socialize and be active and just have a lot more time for these fun activities when you year-round homeschool. Okay. But lastly, mommies who juggle homeschooling while caring for an infant or a baby will feel less harried, when they homeschool year round. As I keep saying, there's a lot more time available in the day when you year round homeschool. Okay. And I understand how demanding and disruptive a little one can be when you're trying to teach homeschool. I completely understand. I have my little 4-year-old right here just a second ago. Um, and he was a baby and well, of course, but as a baby and then as a toddler and now as beginning pre-K next year, our fiscal year in October, we've had to rearrange our schedule each time. Okay. So as a baby, our schedule couldn't be the same as it was when he was a baby because he had a lot of naps. I had to get up a lot, right? And then as a toddler, we had to change our schedule again because he's a lot more busy. He's more hands-on. He's not there yet as far as really listening and um, being playing independent. I forget that word. But now that he's 4 years old, he can do a lot more independent play, playing with him, just his toys, and really respecting the time that we need to homeschool. Now, I don't just separate him from the kids when I homeschool, and I really just let him guide me. So if he wants to be part of our homeschool with the big kids, I'll pull up a chair and I will get him a book that I have for him that's for his level, and I'll work with him on it for just a little bit and get him started on it, and then I'll proceed to homeschool my kiddos. So I'll have him join us, or he'll have his own busy bin that he can play with, like these puzzles that he can play with just for him, just for the time we homeschool. So if you wanted something that your child, your little toddler or preschooler, would focus on while you homeschool the bigger kids, you can have some kind of special bin that you only pull out while you're homeschooling for him. So he doesn't get tired of it, and he just doesn't, throw it in the corner when he's done and he doesn't want to play with it every day. By just pulling it out during the time you homeschool, his interest of it's gonna hold a lot more. He's going to be he's going to want to do it every single day because he won't have access to it any time of day. Okay, it stays special longer. Um, so that was just a little bit about homeschooling with the little toddler, but lots of brain breaks happen too between subjects when you're homeschooling a toddler and a baby, and the big kids. So a lot of brain breaks happen. So because of that, it can make your school day a little bit longer unintentionally. Let me just make sure that I am popping up in the Facebook. If y'all have any questions, let me know. Just gonna double check to see if I'm here. I see a comment or someone watching, but I don't see no video here. Anyway, so if you have any questions about anything so far that I've talked about, just let me know. Hey, Anna. We have flexibility to travel and also take outside courses on off hours or season. Okay, yeah, that's absolutely true. And another thing too, you'll be able to do a lot of stuff while others are in public school or schooling because the lines will be shorter. So that's another one. So let me jump back in here. I don't want to be too long because I know there's other bonus workshops coming up, but I wanted to speak on this particular category. So let me see. We're going to jump into schedule ideas real quick. Okay. So there are seven different schedule ideas that I could come up with basically about year-round homeschooling. And this is not the end-all, be-all of year-round schedules, okay? But it is what I found to be maybe the most popular ones or the most ones that I see that you can really work with your schedule, okay? So structuring a year-round homeschool schedule, like I said, there's more than one way to do it, and one way may not fit one family, and another way would totally fit a family. Okay, I know personally, I've changed my schedule a few different times. However, whatever our season in our homeschool was. So, like I said, when we homeschooled with the baby and with the toddler, our seasons of homeschooling changed. And so our schedule had to change too accordingly. Just when we were traveling, just like Anna does, our schedule had to change a lot because we were traveling. But now that we don't travel so much and we stay home, I changed our schedule again. For example, just to give you an idea, we used to homeschool 17, it's a weird little way, but it's 17 days a month. Okay. I figured out that if we homeschool 17 days a month, then we can be off the rest of the month and be off an entire month in addition to that, which would be like December. That equals about 180 days. 180, I think so. About 100, it ends up being like 188, I think, total. But it's about 180 days of school, which is about, the standard, about 180 days of school anyway. So when I figured that out, I realized that we can homeschool 17 days in a month and then be off the rest of the month. So if we need to make up a day, for instance, then we could just make it up next month. All right. So I have a year-round homeschool tracker calendar that I use to do that. Now, this was when we were when we were traveling. Now we do 4 days a week and we take off 2 weeks every 6 weeks. So it's more like the Sabbath schedule, which means like on 6 weeks, off a week. That's kind of like the Sabbath of the week too. Excuse me. So we do that, but we homeschool 4 days a week, even though we homeschool every day of the week. So let me explain. So we do half a day on Monday, and every Monday morning, I plan our schedule for the week, and then we do school after I plan just half the day on Monday. It's also on Monday when I print all our activities for the week, when I schedule any of our library books that we need to pick up, and even when I do my grocery order is on Mondays. And then we do have a homeschool on that Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is full day homeschooling. Not all day, okay, because we have shorter days, but that's when we hit all our lessons Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then Friday is another half day. So that's how we homeschool 4 days total a week. On Fridays, too, like in the morning times, are more like tests or activities or anything like that that we have going on. And then in the afternoon time is really more when we go on field trips or we go to the park. Even when we go to the library, that's on Fridays too, if we need to go. So I dedicate the latter half of Friday to do something like that. Okay. And then the first part of Monday to plan and do our and print all our activities that we need for the week and, get our books that we need for the week or the following week. Okay. So I do it more like 2 or 3 weeks at least at a time, but really I look at our terms almost. I know, you got just a minute. But I look at our terms really, and I plan by term, and then I plan by like month, and then by week, and that's how I really know what I'm doing. And I only do this once a year, planned by our terms. um, and so I just look at our schedule every week, see what we need to do different, flexible, add something, remove something, whatever I need to do. And then that's when I know to print out the activities or add the books to our lessons or whatever we need to do. Okay, so jumping into the schedules, that was just an example for me. Like I said, I'm sure there are more variations out there, but these are the ones that I'm more familiar with. All right, so the first one is, like I'd already talked about, is 4 days a week schedule. Let me see if I can share my screen so you can see exactly what I'm looking at. Actually, I don't think it would really matter. I don't think I have anything on here that would be like more visual. But so 4 days a week schedule, right? This can be like we do. You can do half a day Monday, half a day Friday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Or you can just do Monday through Thursday and be off Friday for a 3-day weekend. Or you can be off Monday and have a 3-day weekend and just do Tuesday through Friday. Or like I said, you can do half Monday, all of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then half Friday if you wanted to do that. So it can be like any 4 days of the week of your choosing. Another example is 6 weeks on and 1 week off. So this is, like I said, called the Sabbath schedule. And just like you would take off on Sunday and work the other 6 days, that's how this schedule goes. So you would homeschool for 6 weeks, and then you would take off the 7th week, and then you start the cycle back over. And that's how 6 weeks on, 1 week off, year-round homeschool schedule goes. When you do it like this ensures that you get a lot of your breaks in between, mommies who need more breaks, or maybe you want to do field trips in between. You can plan on that every 6 weeks if you wanted to do that. But also you can still do 4 days a week on this Sabbath schedule, which is nice, which is exactly what we do. You can also do 9 weeks on and 2 or 3 weeks off. It's similar to the Sabbath schedule, but in this case, you would homeschool for 9 weeks straight, and then you would take off the 10th week and the 11th week. Okay? Sometimes you can even alternate 2 or 3 weeks. It ends up working out like that when you do all the math in the year, which is really nice. So just think of it going to school or doing homeschooling 9 weeks in a row, and then you're off for 2 or 3 weeks after that, and then it starts back over. Now that's nice. That's a good break for me. Another schedule for year-round homeschooling is calendar scheduling. So with this schedule, you would homeschool for just a calendar year starting in January and ending in December. You could choose to still do a 4-day a week homeschool schedule if you wanted to. A lot of people go from January to December, but like in a calendar year, but they take off the whole month of December, and they use that for like graduating the grade level or prepping for the following year, and then they can spend all the time with the holidays with family instead of worrying about homeschool. So a lot of people do that. Another schedule is called loop scheduling. This is one of my favorite ways. So So loop scheduling is really popular, and you can do this with just about any schedule. So how it works is you list out all the subjects that you want to do, okay? And then when you list out all the subjects, you include the core subjects as well as the fun subjects, okay? Your baby's upstairs. I'll get it in just a minute, okay? You can ask Bubba to get it. All right, I get it in just a minute. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to share my screen so I can show you. Let's see, share my screen and share this. Okay, you see me? All right, good. So, for example, um, for loop scheduling, you can list out your subjects, like I said, and you want to include the core subjects and the fun stuff. And so, for example, you can do two options here. So you can set a certain amount of time for each subject, especially if you have like little ones. It can be 20 or 30 minutes a subject or 15 minutes a subject. It just depends on how old they are. But you dedicate like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to the lesson if you have little ones. So you assign a time to the subjects, basically. You can also set a certain amount of time for school each day. So if you just wanted to do 3 or 4 hours of school each day, you can do that. But for both options, you'll want to set up your frequency. Okay, like every day you'll loop, or maybe you'll loop every other week or every week. So when you do it like that, you do a lesson in each subject until your time is up. So you can just go down the list. You can do your subject for the time that you set per subject, okay? Or you just do your subject until you're completely done with that lesson, and then you move on to the next subject, right? So it'd be like this. So you would just do this subject, and then this one's next, okay? Um, or you can, so let's say this is 30, let's say you're just doing 15 minutes every single subject. You do this one for 15 minutes, whether you're finished or not, you stop, then you go on to do the next subject for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Whether you're done or not with that lesson, or let's say you finish the lesson, you have 10 minutes left, you start that next lesson, okay? Until that 30 minutes is up for that subject. Then you move on to the next one. And this is how you can implement the fun stuff as well as your core subjects into your homeschool, because you're loop scheduling it. Now that's if we do 15 minutes, and then once our 15 minutes is up or 30 minutes is up, you'll go on to the next lesson, right? Or go on to the next subject. Well, the other option is, let's say you are dedicating 3 or 4 hours for a whole school day, right? What you would do then is you would do one lesson per subject, okay? And you would completely finish that lesson and then move on to the next one, whether it takes 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And then when your time's up, your time is just up. You just stop there, close your books, and then you pick up on the next lesson the following day. And this is how you hit all your subjects. Now, you can have loops inside of loops. So you can have you can do all of these. And once you get to this subject, you can start this loop, and then you do these, and then you go back to this loop. It can be fun like that. It just depends on what exactly you want to include in your day. But yeah, this is an example of loop scheduling. You want to set up your subjects, then you want to set the frequency, and then you want to write your list out. So the subjects are the ones that you want to include, the core subjects and the fun ones, whichever ones you want to include. And then you would do the frequency, whether it's going to be 30 minutes a subject or a lesson, or it's going to be like 3 hours a day and you complete a lesson in every subject, okay? And that's what you would do. You move on from there, and then you would just basically build your list, and you would plug in all the subjects. Even if you want to do math more, you can do like math here, and then you can put math here again, so that you make sure you're going to be hitting math more times than I don't know, Spanish, okay? So you can do math here, writing, reading, math, writing, Spanish, okay? And so as you go down the schedule, you're going to hit those subjects as they come. And that is basically what you would do for loop scheduling, okay? Just like I have it right here. And you can do like I said, do a loop inside of a loop. So let's say you do all of these, and after you do all that, and you end up with this last one, then you jump over here. And you can do this, then you can do this one, and then it says loop A, which means you go back over here, which means you start at the top. So that's just another example of loop scheduling, okay? Almost done. And then the last type of subject or of schedule is block scheduling. So let me unshare my screen now. Okay. Okay. So block scheduling has its advantages and its disadvantages. So although there are different ways to do block scheduling, it is similar to loop scheduling. Okay. But there are a few differences profound enough that it gets its own schedule. All right. So here's what I mean. You can alternate days, which is something that you might already be doing, like history and science. I'm sure you're not doing those every day. Maybe you do history Tuesdays and Thursdays, and science Monday and Wednesdays. Okay. So you're already implementing this block schedule. Another way to do it, though, is you can do history only one term, and then the next term do science only. Okay? So you would do history instead of 2 days a week, maybe you do it 4 days a week or 3 days a week and only do history. And then the following term, you don't do history, you'll do science. Okay? But like I said, that just makes you. Year-round scheduling helps with information loss, right? Because we don't take those long breaks, really, okay? So if you do it like that, you are going to have more of a chance for information loss, okay? But it just depends on how it fits best with your family. Another way to do block scheduling is when you do the subjects for a specific length of time. So, for example, you can choose to do math or history for one term, like 6 weeks or 9 weeks, or even the traditional 16 weeks. And then you would, and then not do it for the following term, like we just said. And then option 3 is you can choose to do your core classes every single day as per usual, and then you can just alternate your electives. Huh? I know, I see you. All right, so for this, you'll continue to do math and language arts and social studies all year long during your school days, but then during term 1, you'll only do science and music. And then in term 2, you'll continue to do the core, but not science and music. You'll just do like foreign language and art. So you're keeping your core subjects, you're just alternating your electives, if that makes sense. But like I said, there are advantages and disadvantages to the block schedule. When you do block scheduling, it means you do fewer subjects because you're not doing every subject like every term. Your block schedule can be any length, like 6 weeks, 9 weeks, or whatever. But because block subject each day also means that each subject lesson session, okay, you won't have shorter like that. But the amount of focus required to work on a single subject for a longer disadvantage. Could also be a disadvantage because of the amount of time that you have to sit there and focus on the work. Sometimes it's too long for kids to do. So that can also be another disadvantage. And then, especially with elementary kids, because they don't do so well with so much time, focused on one subject, right? Shorter lessons are highly recommended for younger students due to their limited attention spans. So you don't want their eyes to glaze over whenever you're doing your lessons. And that is pretty much the gist of calendar schedule. Is it calendar? No, block scheduling. Sorry. The last schedule I want to talk to you about is the numbered day schedule. So this is what I mentioned earlier when I was talking about how we did I figured out we can do 17 days in a month and then take off the rest of the month. So, so for the last round, the last year round calendar example, I had the numbered day schedule. Okay. So now really, I'm not sure what you would really call the numbered day schedule. I don't know if there's a proper name for it. It's just what I call it, but here's how it works. So you decide on the number of school days that you want to school for the entire school year. And traditionally, it would be about 180 days, okay? But it's up to you. Maybe you have a state law that requires you to do a number of days, all right? But in the traditional setting, the standard is about 180 days when you school. So now, after you've figured out how many days you want to do homeschool, next you're going to decide on the number of months that you want to homeschool. Okay. So if you want to take off the entire month of December and say you go from July to June, that means you're just going to take 11 months total instead of 12 months, right? Because you're not going to count December. Then after that, you are going to go through your calendar and mark off all the holidays and all the birthdays and all the days you know you're not going to be able to do school, like doctor's appointments. You're going to just go ahead and mark them off your calendar right off the bat because you know you won't be homeschooling those days. And then you're left with the rest of the days you can homeschool, right? So you took off the entire month of December, for example. You're going to homeschool from July to June. You took off all the birthdays. You took off all the holidays, even the days around the holidays, like let's say a week off of Thanksgiving, okay? So you get your calendar and you mark off all the days, right? And then that's what's left for you to homeschool. Now, what you do is you're going to divide your total number of school days by the remainder of the days that are left unmarked. So we've already decided 180 days, right? So with this schedule, you can count out 17 days on your calendar for every single month. And then you'll see that you may have a week or 10 days left for no school still in addition to that, which is really great. So we're going to divide 180 by whatever the number is that's left. And I can't remember what number it was that I was left with, but it ended up being 17 as the answer, which told me as long as I homeschool 17 days a month, I'm good. I can meet my homeschool goals. So, as I said before, most states require a set number of school days, but not a single state requires you to school on specific days. So, with that said, you may still need to track your attendance. Yes. Oh, you okay? I hit your knee? Oh, I saw you. Oh my goodness, I saw you. You're not hearing nothing because I'm talking. Okay, so we talked about all of the year-round schedules that you can do: the Sabbath schedule, the 9-week schedule, the loop schedule, the block schedule, the number day schedule. What other was the schedules that we had? Block schedule, loop schedule, calendar schedule, 9 weeks on, 2-3 weeks off, 6 weeks on, 1 week off, and then 4 days a week schedule. So we talked about all these schedules that you can implement for your year-round homeschooling. Excuse me. But like I said, there's a lot more variations, I'm sure, that either you can come up with or you can research more about. These are just the 7 ones that I'm more familiar with and probably the most popular too. My favorite, again, is the number day schedule because I know that I can homeschool any 17 days. Okay, it doesn't have to be even 17 days in a row. I can homeschool any of those 17 days, which is great. But That's what I used to do when I traveled. So nowadays I homeschool 4 days a week, and I still take off a week or two every 6 weeks, which is fun. I like my breaks. And I'm sure the kids do too. It leaves us more room to do like field trips and stuff. So, so, um, so I just want to wrap this up by leaving you with just a few tips. So, uh, this is what I found the difference, these tips, to be between success and ultimate failure for year-round homeschooling.
What are you doing?
So first, look at the year as a whole. When you homeschool, you want to make sure. Hang on, shush, shush. When you homeschool, you want to make sure that you stay on point with your homeschool vision, okay, and your annual homeschool goals, along with your goals for each child. All right. So when you're creating your schedule and your lesson plans, or as you're homeschooling, just make sure you ask yourself if this is getting you closer to your homeschool goals, if this is aligned with your homeschool vision. Is this helping my child reach his monthly or his quarterly or his annual goals? Is this help strengthening an area that I really want him to focus on? Okay. So as you do your scheduling and your lesson planning, just keep those questions in mind just to make sure you stay in line with your vision and your goals. Okay. The next tip is, and this is a big one, don't call it year-round homeschooling. Don't do that. If you tell your kids you're going to switch their homeschooling to year-round homeschooling, they're going to balk at this idea and they're not going to like it at all. But they're also not going to understand that they're going to get more time off in shorter days. So save yourself some tears and some fits and arguments, and just don't call it year-round homeschooling to your kids, at least at first when you introduce it, if you're going to start changing it. And also, excuse me, just remember that life happens, so just be more flexible in your homeschool schedule. So don't worry so much about when things pop up, because it happens to everybody. And just know that you can just still adapt and be more flexible as you go and go with the flow. Okay. The world isn't going to end if you miss lessons or you miss a couple days. It's fine. You can just pick up where you left off. You don't have to finish the curriculum textbook at the end of the year, every year. Okay. I don't even think public schools do that most of the time. So don't rush to finish the textbook or the curriculum just because you need to finish it and check it off. If you don't finish it, you just don't finish it. And that's how it is. Like I said, the world's not going to end. Your kids are still learning. It's still been a great year. And the next curriculum anyway, the next grade level, is already going to review at first what they'd already learned. So nothing's going to be wasted if you end up not finishing that curriculum or that textbook by the end of your fiscal homeschool year. Okay. Decide on the best homeschool year-round scheduling approach that fits your family's needs. Okay. Some might not resonate with you like the others did. So just take the time to determine which one's going to fit your needs, and feel free to even change it. So you can start off with 4 days a week, and then you end up changing it to like 9 weeks on and 2-3 weeks off. And that's okay. You just do what fits your family in the season of your homeschool that you're currently in. Okay. Your homeschool schedule should work with you, and it shouldn't be a struggle for you to go through the motions. If you're finding that it's a struggle, then that means your homeschool schedule isn't working for you and you need to change it, okay, to a different one. So if you feel like you're struggling to maintain a certain homeschool schedule, or you just can't seem to meet your own demands, then it's not working for you. You need to change it to something else, okay? And that's okay. I've changed my schedule multiple times. It's totally cool because your season and your homeschool changes, and you just need to adapt to that. And finally, pay attention to the needs of your children. They may work best on a specific routine or schedule than other schedules. But let the schedule work for you, okay? Your kids are in homeschool for many reasons, and one of these reasons is to clearly educate them in the best ways possible. So if they do well with a lot of breaks, then pick a year-round homeschool schedule that offers a lot of breaks, okay? If they're younger and don't do well with doing a subject for a longer period of time, then you know not to initiate the block schedule, right? At least as far as the term lengths are concerned. So one of the benefits of homeschooling is freedom and flexibility. So I encourage you to use this to your advantage whenever you're doing your scheduling, okay? And I'm going to leave you with one more tip. When you're homeschooling, focus on homeschooling 100%. Don't split your attention in half with homeschooling and then trying to do another project. This isn't multitasking. This is doing both things halfway and not completely to the best of your ability for both of the things, if that makes sense. So when you're doing two things at the same time, they call it multitasking, but it's really not. It's really doing two things halfway. So your kids would probably be more involved and more proactive, I guess, with homeschooling if you give them 100% of your attention instead of doing homeschooling and then, doing your phone or painting your fingernails or whatever the case may be. So that's just another tip that I encourage you to do whenever you're homeschooling. Be present in your homeschooling as a mom. And that is about it. When you try to focus 100% on homeschooling and 100% on something else at the same time, you'll burn out twice as fast, right? Okay. So these are my tips for you around homeschooling. I am. Shush. You done? Yeah. Hold on. Got to finish. I hope that you enjoyed these tips and you learned a lot about year-round homeschooling, that I could provide it with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. This little guy is excited to go swimming. He wants to go swimming. So we are going to hop off. I hope you guys enjoy the summit. I'm Richie with Homeschool and Humor, but I'm also the hostess of Homeschool. Mom. What?
You're only doing 16.
Yes. I'm the hostess of the Homeschool Mom Summer Summit that you guys are watching. And if you need to upgrade to the Lifetime VIP Pass, I urge you to do that before it expires. Yeah, upgrade. It is a big word.
It's making Ginger say that.
Oh, he said upgrade?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you can do that at homeschoolmomsummersummit.com/lifetime-VIP-pass. Let's see if I have that written down. No, I guess I don't. So you can hop over to today's workshops. It's open. It's the year-round homeschool schedule workshops. You just have to simply go to homeschoolandhumor.com/Monday, and it goes straight to the workshops for year-round homeschooling. Thanks for joining, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Say bye.